What's good, y'all? Today we're gonna be checking out this video about cultural shocks in England. Top 10 that shock Americans. I'm an American and I'm gonna be checking this out, saying, man, so let's find out some stuff that's gonna shock me today. Let's get it.
Things that were culture shock for us when we arrived here in England.
The first thing that shocked us when we arrived in England was just how many foreigners there are in London.
We'd always heard that London was multicultural, but just the extent of foreigners that were there was really shocking to us. And not in a bad way. It was just surprising because we were coming to England, we're like, oh, there's probably gonna be a lot of English people and we'll be hearing lots of English. But when we were in public, about 90% of the languages we were hearing around us were foreign languages and not English.
Pretty much everywhere was represented
Wow.
in London, so that was really cool. And to just hear all of the different languages.
That's actually really interesting.
Because we feel like, I mean, Seattle's pretty multicultural as well, but not to the extent of London. Like,
No way.
just all of the languages and everyone speaking different languages in like the restaurants. We'd be sitting at our table and each table was speaking a different language. There
This
would be-
happened every time.
Wow.
Yeah,
we
pretty
went,
much every
basically.
time. There'd be like the table of Koreans. We could always hear them because
Korea!
we understand a tiny bit of Korean, so we were like,
We lived in Korea for 2 years,
Yeah,
for those
so
of you
we're
who
like-
don't know.
the Koreans, French people.
That's kind of cool. Could you imagine everybody just speaking different languages and you understand them all, man? That'd be so cool.
Eastern European people, just everywhere. Number 2!
Number 2, the subways are really small. It was actually shocking because our experience with subways is in Korea and Japan, and these subways are very wide. There's lots of standing room. They're also very tall, but the tube, as it's called in London, actually looks kind of like
Like
a
a
tube.
tube.
Yeah,
Wow.
it makes sense.
It's like not tall, or at least the ones that we rode on were not tall, like all the way across on the ceiling, but it's
It's
kind
kind
of
of like a box
curved or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like curved. Maybe
Yeah.
not all of them are that way, but the ones that
I've
we
never seen anything like that before. That's a weird design. Maybe it makes it go faster, or they want to be different. Maybe.
were that way. So
Yeah.
that was interesting.
It was just surprising and shocking how small the tube was, at least the tubes that we rode.
Speaking of tubes, that brings us to number 3. I love
Yeah.
how English people wait patiently for people who are on the tube to get off before getting on the tube themselves.
Oh my goodness.
That is something after living in Korea for a couple years, you'll know that is not the case. As soon as the subway doors open and the train stops, everyone in Korea is just like pushing everybody else and
Yeah.
getting on
Battle
the
royale.
subway as fast as they can.
Right? They be about to push you back on there and send you back home.
So it was
We're
nice
back
to
to
go to a
work.
place where everyone just stands aside and waits for those people who are on the train to get off, which is what should happen.
This was actually so shocking that the very first time we rode the tube, when the doors opened and everyone was waiting for people to get off, Grace turned to me and made that observation. She's like, oh my gosh, they're waiting for people to get off. What is this?
happening?
Fascinating.
Number 4, this is just a really quick one, but light switches here are different than they are in the States, and whereas in the States and Korea and other countries, you flip on to turn the light switch
You
on.
flip up, yeah.
You flip up to turn it
Turn
on,
it on,
and
flip
flip
it
down
down.
to turn it off. Here,
It's the opposite.
yeah, from what we've seen, you flip up to turn it off and flip down to turn it on.
Number 5. The other thing that we found surprising when we arrived in England was that power outlets have to be switched on to use them. So it has like
I actually like that. I feel like it's like a money saver. You know, when you leave something plugged in overnight, maybe it's your iPhone cord you leave in overnight or a computer cord, you can just turn it off. And it's not feeding energy to that device and you're not using it no more. I feel like this is really good. I like this.
switch next to it and you have to turn it on in order to use electronic appliances.
W design, man.
So many times we've tried to boil like hot water for tea or coffee
Or charge my phone.
and you forget to switch
Okay, I guess that's the downside. You forget.
the power outlet on and it doesn't charge or the water doesn't boil and you're like, I kind of like that though, because as I heard someone say the other day it prevents like children from sticking things into the sockets and getting electrocuted. So I like that idea.
And then also, like in America, when we go on vacation or something like that, you have to run around the house and unplug everything so it doesn't.
It's exhausting.
So it's not a firehouse.
Or even like every night you try to like unplug
Yeah,
it, you know?
yeah. Here, you just turn the outlets off. So that's actually kind of cool. It was shocking, but it's kind of cool, and we'll probably try to do that on our own house one day.
Yeah, I like that.
Number 6, something else that has been a little shocking for us is that tipping here is a bit different than back in the States. Whereas in the States, when you go to a restaurant, any receipt that you get is going to have a tip line where you write the tip. Here at restaurants, they don't have that. And most cafes don't even have a tip jar. And so it's been really confusing for us to figure out what we do for tipping.
I've heard also that tipping is super minimal here. Like, if at all, it's like just really minimal. So that's definitely different than America, where as a server, you're like 20%.
Wow, they actually pay their employees. Ain't that crazy? They actually pay their employees.
Or you're a bad table, sort of.
Yeah. Question though, for the English folk in the audience, when I'm at a restaurant and they give me a receipt that doesn't have a tip line or anything on it, what am I supposed to do? Do I tip? Or is
Do you
that
just
just
leave
like
it
a
on the
no
table?
tip? Yeah, do you leave it on the table? Or is that just like we all agree that there's no tipping going on in this situation? Please let me know down in the comments so I don't make any social faux pas.
Number 7. Real quick, I was just going to mention that in grocery stores here in England, they generally have a much larger selection of cheese than they do back home in the States, which I'm not going to complain about.
Not the biggest fan of cheese, not gonna lie, but nonetheless, that is interesting. Why do y'all like cheese?
I love that.
Amazing.
I think it's just a lot more in the culture here, I guess, than it is back home. Whereas back home, you usually only have like a couple different kinds of cheese to choose from, and not like
Cheddar, Gouda,
not like mozzarella or Parmesan.
mozzarella, yeah.
Not like specialty cheeses. Here you'll have like many different types, and there'll be different ages as well.
Number 8.
Yeah, I'm not a cheese guy. I'm not a cheese. Like, I'll eat cheese like on a burger, or like I can't eat string cheese. I cannot eat string cheese. I can't sit there and eat cheese all day. Like how she just cut a piece of cheese out of a block of cheese and tried to give it to him. I'd probably knock it out of her hand. Okay, that's being a little extra. I wouldn't knock her out of her hand, but I'd say no, because that's I don't know. I couldn't even eat cheese and crackers. It has to be like on a burger. I think that's it, man. I can't really recall a time where I'm just eating cheese. You feel me? Pizza. I'll eat cheese on pizza. It's weird. It's like it varies. It varies, man. It's like tomatoes. Like you don't eat. I can't eat a tomato, but I'll eat some ketchup on like a hot dog or something. Interesting.
This is one you hear a lot, probably, but we don't know which direction to look when we cross the road. And this is for a couple of reasons. One, people here drive on the left side of the
You look left to right, right? You look left to right, I think.
road, and so that's confusing. But 2, there are also a ton of one-way streets here, both in London and in the villages that we've been in and towns. Lots of one-way streets that aren't obvious one-way streets. And so when we cross, it is so confusing to know
which way to look.
And so
It's quite dangerous, actually.
yeah.
You know, like, I am in fear of being struck by an automobile. That sounded ridiculous.
That was yeah. We're working on our English accent.
That wasn't an English accent. That was just
wasn't?
me.
Sounding like an English person.
In London, though, there is a nice, I think it's so polite and courteous how they put on the ground, like, look this way.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Before crossing the street, there's like
That's funny.
paint on the sidewalk that says, look left, or look right, or look both ways. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, oh,
That is
That
cool.
was really good.
these English folk have our back.
They know
Maybe.
we're stupid.
Number 9. This is more of a question, but it was also a very big culture shock. Why are there 2 separate spigots for hot and cold water? This, like, somebody please explain. I don't understand this. Like, do you want to wash your hands in freezing cold water and not kill any of the germs? I don't know if that's correct, but whatever, that's what I think. Or do you want to scald yourself so that you can't even feel and then you have to be fed by your husband for the next few days? Like, choose.
Oh, why do I have this? This is I didn't even think about it. Like, they're asking some really good questions here. What do I do? Do I just stay in some cold water? Stay in some hot water? And how fast does the hot water turn hot? Like, is it gonna be cold a little bit? I need it to be automatically hot as soon as I turn it, bro. Especially if you go label it as hot. And then have me sitting there with a cold. I don't want no ounce of cold hitting my hand when I go to the hot faucet.
Very confusing, and this is not just something we've seen in homes, but we've seen it in museums, in churches, in cafes, and
It's like
restaurants.
everywhere in the restroom.
Yeah.
It's two separate.
Two separate spigots, and you get scalding hot water, or you get freezing
Ice.
cold water.
And so, like, what I was
Okay.
doing, I know this
You
is
just stand up and
ridiculous,
go,
but yeah,
throw
I was
them
just like
together.
throwing them together and like. Somebody explain, because somebody's got an explanation for
Yeah,
why
there's a
this is
reason.
better, I'm sure.
Explain it to us.
I might check the comments. Maybe
It's
they'll
not.
answer.
Number 10, it was shocking to us how much people jaywalk here. We had been warned by friends that, hey, just so you know, in London, it's okay to jaywalk. But when we came here, it was just surprising to see how frequently everyone jaywalks. Literally, everyone jaywalks all the time.
That must be hard to drive in, right?
Yeah, it's constant jaywalking. And we're coming from Seattle, which is, I think, in the United States, we are famous for being a city that no one jaywalks in. So it was really shocking to come to England and no one, it's just like
Constant jaywalking.
jaywalking. Look, run. Look, run.
Which makes you feel extremely stressed out as foreigners because we don't know which way to look. So we're like, oh, we can't just wait for this light.
Is it that big of a deal? Not looking the right, like I still look a good amount of times. Like, maybe it is like. Okay.
Which is gonna last forever. We
Yeah.
should jaywalk.
Cause they keep saying it. Like, what if we don't look the right way? It's like I'd assume you just look a bunch of times, but it must be like a really hard thing. I
We don't know which direction the cars are coming from, so if we jaywalk, we might die. So it's kind of like
Maybe.
And then you know who the foreigners are because they're the ones
They're
that
the
are waiting
dead
for the light.
Oh. Wow.
That's funny.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed.
I want to check the comments and see if they show you. Hold on, let me pause it right quick. All right, y'all. So I'm back. So the point about tipping, it just doesn't happen. Probably because restaurants actually pay their staff. Yes, like I just said, they actually are paying their freaking people. Answer about the taps. Okay, let's hear it. Okay. To answer your question about the taps, traditionally hot water in buildings was boiled by either a boiler or a immersion heater, or being stored in a hot water tank. Okay, tank could build up sediment or corrode over time, making water unsafe to drink. Okay, so the cold tap was separate to provide drinking water. Nowadays, houses are built with combi boilers, which produce hot water on demand. Mixer taps are more common. Okay, really interesting. Appreciate that, James. Very, very interesting. Wow. Yeah, so we have our explanation, man. But yeah, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe. They actually pay their employees. Some houses actually have combined. Got that explanation. W video from them, man. I'll link it in the comments. But yeah, man, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later, man. Peace.